It went viral inner circles. People were sharing it, commenting, tagging others. And for the first time, none of those voices were calling me difficult or heavy. They were saying, I mattered. That same night, just before I went to bed, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a voicemail. Not from my mother, not from Blake, not even from my father, who only ever calls when he needs help resetting his email password. It was from Savannah. Her voice was quieter than I remembered from the one video Blake had sent weeks ago, less airy, less polished, more real. Hi, I'm so sorry to reach out like this. I got your number from your aunt. I hope that's okay. I needed to say something. There was a pause. A long one. I didn't know, she said. I didn't really know who you were, but I recognized your photo. You treated my grandmother, Amma, years ago. She still talks about you. She says you changed everything. You didn't give up on her when others did. You were kind. You were present. You made her feel like she mattered. Another pause. Her voice cracked slightly this time. I'm sorry about what happened. And what was said about you. I had no idea. I couldn't sit there and pretend. So I left. That was it. I listened to it twice, then again, and I cried. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time in years someone saw me. Truly saw me. Not through the filter of family expectations or decades of dismissal. Not through the lens of too serious or too intense. Not as a shadow standing behind the golden child. Just as me. Savannah didn't ask for anything. She didn't suggest we reconnect or meet up for coffee. She didn't try to fix what she hadn't broken. She simply acknowledged the truth. And somehow that did more to heal me than 1,000 empty apologies from my own family ever could. 3 days later, a small package arrived in the mail. It was a letter handwritten, on thick paper, ink smudged slightly in the corners. Inside, Savannah wrote more about her grandmother, how she still did yoga twice a week, still walked to the farmer's market, still told the story of the young doctor who looked her in the eye and said, "You're not done yet." She thanked me not just for saving a life, but for showing her what real strength looked like. I framed the letter, hung it beside my desk, the same desk where I finished patient notes every evening. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything. Not to them, not to anyone. Just when I thought the dust had finally settled, my inbox lit up. Subject line, let's reset things. It was an email signed by all three of them, my mother, my father, and Blake. A united front, as if they were submitting a group project. The tone was exactly what I expected from people who believed apologies were a form of negotiation. They didn't say sorry, not directly. Instead, they acknowledged that emotions had run high, and that they regretted how things may have been perceived, which in plain English translates to, we still think we're right, but we're afraid of the consequences. They suggested a family brunch. Neutral territory, open-hearted discussion, they called it. And then buried in the fourth paragraph, they mentioned it. They'd really appreciate it if I reached out to Savannah and asked her to take down her post. There it was. The real reason for the sudden olive branch. Branch wasn't a gesture of healing. It was a bargaining chip. An attempt to restore Blake's reputation in the art circles Savannah moved in. To clean up the mess they'd made, using me as the mop. I didn't respond. The next morning, the escalation began. My father called one of my hospital administrators, someone he'd met once at a charity event, and told him I had been acting emotionally unstable lately. Said he was concerned for my well-being. Yes, he tried to gaslight my workplace, to discredit me. Thankfully, the administrator called me right away, apologized, told me I had nothing to worry about. So that bridge, burned? Then came the group text to extended family. Carefully crafted half-truths. No mention of me being excluded. No mention of the comments made behind my back. Just a whole lot of she's tearing the family apart and we're so worried about her mental state. 2 cousins I hadn't heard from in years reached out. One offered me a yoga retreat voucher just in case you're going through something. Finally, the last move, the most desperate one. A visit. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon when I heard the knock. I peeked through the peephole. There they were. My parents, Blake. I opened the door, leaned against the frame, arms crossed. "We just want to talk," my mom said gently. I didn't move. Because by then, I finally understood something. They weren't here for me. They were here for the version of me that had always cleaned up their messes, and that version no longer lived here. They stood there for a while, waiting, hoping, maybe, that I would fold like I used to, that I'd invite them in, that I'd make it easy again, but I didn't. After a few moments of silence, I said, no, just that. No explanations, no anger, no performance. I closed the door. And I didn't feel guilty. Instead, I made myself a cup of tea, sat at my desk, and looked at the letter from Savannah, framed in a soft wooden border. It reminded me that the most meaningful recognition often comes from people who have nothing to gain, who simply see you because they've been paying attention. I thought about all the years I had spent trying to earn the love of a family that only ever measured me against a version of themselves they wanted to believe in. The golden child, the artist, the one who made them look good. But I wasn't created to make them feel comfortable. I was born to heal, to hold hands with people on the edge of goodbye, to listen when others turn away. And in doing that, I had made a difference, a real one. I didn't save lives for praise. I didn't cancel payments for revenge. I didn't walk away to prove a point. I walked away because I finally saw the truth. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's power in silence, in choosing not to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. There's strength in setting boundaries and keeping them, in knowing that your worth doesn't need a family consensus to be real. As I filed my patient notes for the night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: peace. So, to anyone out there who's been made to feel like they're too much, too serious, too inconvenient, let me tell you this: you are not too much. You are not the problem. And you never needed to shrink to fit into someone else's story. Write your own. And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever been made to feel invisible by the people who are supposed to see you most, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. Because sometimes the quietest stories carry the loudest truths, and sometimes not showing up is the most powerful thing you can do.